following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning. It is Friday morning. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. How are you? Everything good? At least the weather's a little bit nicer today. Anyway, we have a very busy show for you between now and midday today. What are we going to try and squeeze in? We are going to be talking to a man about his mother's house being broken into in Ballybrack on Wednesday. Ballybrack's in the news again for bad reasons. That's where I'm from, but yeah. Anyway, this story kind of highlights to me about whether or not we know our neighbours or not. And in fact, I want to have a conversation about that. Do you know your neighbours? Are you in a neighbourhood watch scheme, for example? I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. Or are you one of the many who hasn't a clue who your neighbours are, who would never pop in for a bowl of sugar? I'd like to talk to you about that a little bit later on. We're also going to be hearing about whether or not fathers are any use when it comes to being in the labour ward when Mammy's giving birth. We'll be hearing some interesting stories about that. It's Friday, and it is Good News Friday. And a little bit later on the programme, I have a lovely prize to give away, a paddy box. What's a paddy box? We actually spoke about this the other day, about how there are certain things you miss when you're away on holidays or living out of Ireland or whatever. And the paddy box is basically it's a gift that's sent to people who are living away. It includes like potato crisps, Cadbury's roses and Chivers jelly and lots of other stuff. But we have one of them to give away for you to send off to a loved one a little bit later on a Good News Friday. And what else we got? Oh yeah, you would have heard this story during the week that 100,000 people have had to wait on a bed in hospital. In other words, they've been delayed in A&E, spent hours and hours and hours on trolleys. It is a big, big problem. It's a particular problem in Tala Hospital, although I know it is a big problem in all of the A&Es, in all of the hospitals here in Dublin. We'll be talking about that later on and hearing your stories of your nightmare in A&E. And being Friday, we also have our Say What You See quiz a little bit later on. All that and much more between now and midday today. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. If there's anything you want us to talk about, do get in touch with us. But first off on the programme, an elderly woman has been left terrified in her home after burglars stormed into the house during the middle of the day. 77-year-old Phyllis Jones, who lives in Rallahine in Ballybrack, was laying in bed when a number of people broke through her front door at around 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Her son Justin joins me on the line. Justin, take the story from there, if you will, please.
Adrian, I go to work as normal on Wednesday. I normally get lunch in around between 1 and 2 o'clock. I was sitting down back in the job, having me lunch. Now, I'd normally give my mother a ring around 12 during the day just to check up on her. It's just myself and my mum that live at home together. So I rang her at 12 o'clock. Everything was fine. Yeah, Justin, I'll see you later on. It was grand. So I was sitting down for lunch, the phone rings. The second time I was going, Jamie, this is very strange. I was just talking to her about 20 minutes ago, So anyway, answer the call. Ma'am, you okay? And with that, I just heard screaming and crying and putting a head in her tail of what she was saying to me. Then she just turns around and goes, Justin, there's someone in the house. I said, ma'am, hang up the phone straight away and ring the police and do not touch anything. So with that, she hung up the phone. I then proceeded to ring a neighbour because at that moment I knew there was someone in the house or someone had broken into the house. So I rang my neighbour that lives 2 doors down and I said, you wouldn't go in and check my mum, I think the house had to get burgled. So my neighbour was fine, no problem, Justin, I'll run over now and I'll check on your mum. So within about within the first call of my mother ringing me, which would have been about 1:15, I think 10 minutes passed, then the neighbour phoned me back to say, yeah, Justin, your house has been broken into.
And this happened in broad daylight on Wednesday with your mum in the house. Did they harm her? Did they come near her?
Basically what happened, so my mother likes to stay upstairs. She'll wake up about 10 most mornings, she'll go down, make her breakfast, she'll go back up to the bed and she'll watch TV in her room. That's her comfort zone. She doesn't really like to be downstairs on her own because about 5-6 months ago we lost our father. He passed away, and at the moment she's dealing with the grief of my father's loss, so she's finding it very hard, to be on her own in the house. So her comfort zone is upstairs in the warmth with the covers over, watching TV. So basically what happened, she heard the noise downstairs. She called out, Denise, is that you? She thought my sister had come home early with the kids from school, because my sister would call up a lot after picking the lads up from school. But when she called my sister's name out twice, she heard no reply. So she proceeded to get out of the bed and just go to the top of the stairs. She went down 3 steps, and we had a wooden banisters, and she could look through, and all she seen then was a lad wearing blue jeans and trainers run out the front door, closing the hall door behind him, then also closing the porch door behind him, down the steps into a silver Ford Focus hatchback type of car, and speeding off out of the estate. So that's
right. So do we know anything more about this Ford Focus? Do we know the reg number? Or
we haven't got a reg number, but it's an old model. We think it's between a 94 and a 96. Now, the car, I've got numerous people getting in touch to say that the car has been spotted in the area. When my mother rang 999 and got through to the guards were there within 2 to 3 minutes. They were only at another house behind where I live in Rallahine at another attempted break-in, and apparently the same car was seen leaving the area. Then another woman contacted me the day after to say that same car was seen around the Tesco supermarket in Ballybrack, parked up in a disabled spot. Now, I have a lot of friends in the area, Adrian. I used to work in this Tesco superstore myself. I'm well in with the lads that worked in there, the head of security. So at the moment now we have them going through the CCTV, because the car was seen in the evening time parked in a disabled spot. So it won't be too hard to get them and find a registration plate. Okay, well
hopefully we can get some information on this car and who is responsible for what appears like a series of robberies in the Ballybrack area.
Exactly. And then obviously, when I wouldn't normally put anything private up on Facebook, Adrian. We're a private family when it comes to things like this. But I said to myself, no, I'm going to put it all out there. When I got an image of that car sent to me from a previous break-in that someone was able to get their phone out of their pocket quick enough and take a snap of this car, I said, I'm going to share that and make it public on social media for everybody to share it. Because these lads have to be stopped. It always happens around this time of the year. Last year, in this month of November, I drive a transit van. My transit van was broken into twice. The first time they got away with tools, the second time they didn't get anything, because I learned my lesson after the first time, and I wouldn't keep anything of valuable in the van. So it's always come to Christmas, Adrian. It doesn't matter any time of the year, it happens all the time, but more so this time of the year. They will try it because everybody wants their extra bit of cash for Christmas to get them through. But there's only one more I can call these lads. They're absolute scum. And I know Jeremy uses this slang all the time, but I'll use it again. They're the lowest of the low. Anything could have happened to my mother. She could have been downstairs. She could have been in the kitchen. My mother is hard of hearing, so I'm surprised that she heard the noise. But what they did, they used a crowbar, Jeremy, to get through the front door. Now, since then, I've beefed up the security. I had a little locksmith out to the house there yesterday, and I had extra locks put on the hall door just to give my mother peace of mind that the house is more secure now.
Okay, now finally, Justin, how is your mum? She's 77 years of age. This has to have really shaken her.
Adrian, her nerves were very bad before this. You can only imagine she's a lot worse now. She hasn't slept since it happened. Like, she thinks they're going to come back, and she wants me to be there all the time. I can't be there all the time. I have to go and do my job to bring in the income to keep us in the house, like, you know. But she's completely rattled after this, Adrian. Like, you know, her nerves are gone. She's going to the doctor next week now to try and get something prescribed to help her with her nerves.
Well, look, send her our regards, Justin. It's an awful story to hear, and let's hope we can track down this Ford Focus that was involved in the break-in at your mum's house and also around the corner at Rallahine in Ballybrack. Justin, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM.
No problem, Agent. Thank you, and I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Now, we've just gotten a message sent in to us, just by coincidence maybe. A lot of residents on WhatsApp and Facebook pages about the increasing amount of burglaries in the Dublin 15 area. But here's the interesting part of this message. It says, if you notice a silver Ford Focus, it was allegedly involved in a burglary, and the Gardaí are looking for those involved to come forward and eliminate themselves from their inquiries. And it actually gives a photograph of a specific Ford Focus, a silver one. I don't know if it's the same car. Seems a little bit coincidental. And that similar car was spotted in Clonee yesterday. Anyway, we think it's a Ford Focus, but as you heard, Tesco and Ballybrack are going to look at their CCTV and try and identify exactly what car that was. I'd love to hear, one of the things that was mentioned during the course of that conversation with Justin is that he contacted his neighbours, and the neighbour went in to see how Mammy is. But it just... Rallahine in Ballybrack is an old estate. It's there donkey's years. There since I was a kid. So maybe the neighbours do know each other. But I want to find out how well we know our neighbours now. Do you know your next door neighbours? I keep hearing anecdotally that people don't know their neighbours anymore. Wouldn't ever pop in for a bowl of sugar if you ran short. Are you somebody like that who doesn't know your neighbours at all? I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. And I also want to find out if there are any of the neighbourhood watch schemes in operation anywhere around Dublin anymore. I haven't heard of one for years. In fact, I heard earlier on of a house insurance renewal, and one of the questions that it asks on the house insurance renewal is, are you a member of a neighbourhood watch scheme? Are there any left? Are you in one? And if so, how does it work? And how well do you know your neighbours? Call me right now on 6797 981. Shane, I keep hearing that people don't know their neighbours anymore, but where you live, you do.
Yeah, we all know our neighbours. We all know everyone. Like, we know everyone on the whole road. There's 18 houses on our road, and everyone knows everyone.
So you could name everyone on your road?
Yeah.
And how long have you lived there?
7 years, but in our last house we lived there for 10. And on our last road, like, there's 180 odd houses, and we would have known best cuts of maybe 20 or 30 people either side of us. And
you all look out for each other?
Yeah, like, take for instance, go back to the snow. Do you remember the snow back in 2010?
Yes.
That time? Yeah, like, the old people on our road, it was full of old people on our road, and they couldn't get out to the shops. So myself and one of the lads went around and we knocked in to see if everyone all right, bringing them around, going around to Tesco's for them and coming back with the stuff, like.
Now, it appears that it is becoming more and more unusual, especially in newer housing estates, for people to know their neighbours or even want to know their neighbours.
It's people are afraid to talk to each other. It's like they're being nosy or anything like that. I think it's nice to know each other just in case anything happens. If you're locked out, if your kids are locked out, or you're out and you're on your way home, or your next door neighbour's kids are coming home from school and they're getting a half day or something, the next door didn't know, they ring you, listen, can they jump in with you for a while? Yeah, of course you can. Everyone should be like that.
All right, Shane, he knows his neighbours, he can name them all. Can you? Do you know the neighbours in your road or your apartment block or wherever it is you live? And if not, why not? I'd love to hear from you. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. After the break, I'll be hearing about a spate of similar robberies to what happened to Justin's mum in the Blanchardstown area. We'll find out about that in just a second.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. With Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new mattress in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Now, some breaking news literally coming into us this minute. The iconic Dublin nightclub Lily's Bordello is set to shut its doors in January. It is to close down on the 19th of January, so if you're somebody who'd like to go to Lily's, there's plenty of time to say your goodbyes. One of the most well-known spots in the capital since it opened back in the 90s, and in fact, back then, I actually DJ'd on the opening night of Lily's Bordello back in the 90s, whenever it was. And just to find out a little bit more, I'm joined by the club's owner, Liam Lahart. Liam, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, Adrian.
Liam, that's sad news.
You're doorstepping me here.
Doorstepping you. Why is Lily's closing, Liam?
Well, after we decided to, times they're changing, and we've been operating it for quite some time, and we decided to leave it on a high, and because we have other plans for the building. And we decided that, the nightclub business is probably quite difficult, and, that we're probably looking at more late bars than nightclub for our model of business.
And it is a sign of the times. We heard only recently about Club 92 out in Leopardstown shutting its doors as well at the end of the year. And it looks like we'll be left with probably no nightclubs. What has happened to the nightclub business as such over the since you've owned Lily's?
Well, not necessarily just Lily's. In nightclub business in general has been quite difficult, I suppose. We used to somewhat jokingly say high heels and drinking vodka at home has probably destroyed the nightclub business, as in possibly the drinking too much before you come in and then falling over on the high heels, and the insurance company handing out lots of thousands for sprained ankle.
Okay, so slowly but surely over the last number of years, a lot of nightclubs have suffered from people drinking at home and so on, and more people are going to late bars rather than nightclubs as such.
Yes, I suppose perhaps as it happens, the home drinking and the high heels probably is not as much an issue now, but it did, that caused a lot of problems over the years. And yes, the late bars are much more prominent now. And I suppose, one of the things that kept the nightclub business going was, getting the admission fee money on the door. It probably, it kind of took care of a lot of the high expense. And, that end of it is gone now, because all the, late bars are very good around Dublin city centre. Dublin city centre is flying it. It's a great place to go. But the nightclub end of it is just not what it used to be.
Okay, so Lily's itself has been very famous over the years as a place for the celebrities to hang out. What are your favourite memories from some of the famous people who've been in there?
Well, I suppose there's been a lot, but sure, maybe the U2 boys and Bono were probably the nicest guys of all those guys to come in. There's been to Ronnie Wood to maybe I'm a bit of an old rock and roller, but I would probably be looking at those guys and maybe more of the people who thought they were famous.
Fair enough. And over the years, people like Rihanna and Mick Jagger, Enrique Iglesias, Niall Horan, loads of them have darkened the doors of Lily's after their gigs and whatever. Where will they go now, all those famous people?
Well, there's so much variety in in Dublin city centre. And to be perfectly honest with you, we're going to have a cracking new venue opening in the spring. As I said, we'll be closing our doors on the 19th of January. There's a lot of parties going on between now and the 19th of January. We'll be closed for 6 weeks, and we'll open up with a cracking new venue. It won't be a nightclub.
It won't be a nightclub, but it will be a late bar?
Well, yes, it'll be in that region, but it won't be a nightclub.
All right. Well, it's sad news. As I said, I was actually there the very first night Lily's opened, long before you would have owned it, Liam. When it was originally opened back in the 90s, I was there on the opening night and Sorry, Liam, go on.
I think I remember you being in a few times after that, and we may have had a wee glass of wine together.
We may have indeed. All right. Well, Liam, it's sad news, but as they say, onwards and upwards with your plans for the premises and what you plan to do with it. Liam Lahart from the Porterhouse Group, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM.
Thank you, Adrian.
There you are, breaking news this very moment about Lily's Bordello to close its doors on the 19th of January. And my thanks to Liam for talking to us. Now, back to what we were talking about before we were interrupted by that story just coming into us. We were talking about neighbours and whether or not you know your neighbours and whether or not you're involved in neighbourhood watch and so on, or do they even still exist? Lauren, we were talking about that robbery in Ballybrack the other day with a woman in her house. There have been a spate of robberies in your area in Blanche as well.
Yeah, we've had it it's in the last couple of years, every time this year there has been, and it's always during the day. It's always kind of like about they seem to come when they know kids are being picked up from school or whatever it is. It's usually about 1:30, 2 o'clock. People come home and their house is after being broken into, you know. And every year, this time of year, we've had a couple in our estate that have had this happen.
And in terms of neighbourhood watch or whatever, are you in a neighbourhood watch scheme, or what sort of
we
way?
We have nothing official. We're very we are very lucky with the neighbours. We have a WhatsApp group, so you know if we hear an alarm going off, whoever's home, we'll go out and go down and knock on the door, look in the windows, and they'll ring whoever owns the house to let them know the alarm is going off. We kind of look out for each other, and if there's anything going on, we'll text each other. We have keys to each other's houses. You know, we're very lucky we're in a little cul-de-sac. It's only a small little estate, and we're really lucky with the neighbours we have got, because we do all look out for each other.
Okay, so would you know all your neighbours?
I know, we have an estate. It would be kind of half of our estate that we all kind of from, say, 3-4 houses up from me all the way down. We all know each other. The top half of the estate, we actually don't know the people, but our small little kind of cul-de-sac, we are very close neighbours.
Which is good, but it seems that it's becoming increasingly unusual. Wayne, you're involved in a watch group in your area in Clonee, and how does that work?
Hey, Adrian, we have what's called, as Lauren said, a WhatsApp group, but we also have what's called an alert WhatsApp group, and it works pretty much the same as if the alarm goes off, but the only thing is it gives some of our neighbours peace of mind if women are at home on their own and husbands are in work in the daytime or night time. It's only used for emergencies.
Because what struck me talking to Justin earlier on about his mum was that he was able to ring one of his neighbours. He was able to get the neighbour to go in and check on his mum. But I do worry that a lot of people don't know their neighbours well enough to ring the next door neighbour and say, will you pop in and see, is she okay?
That's the thing. We're lucky in my estate as well, in Dublin 15 in Clonee. I know pretty much a lot of my road as well, whereas my friend lives in Ashbourne for 5 years and he doesn't know any of his neighbours.
And that seems to be the case, especially I think in newer estates, that people just, I don't know what it is. Are they so busy with their lives? Is it, although people were always busy, I'm wondering why we don't know our neighbours anymore.
And that's a crazy thing, because what we try to do every year, we'd have, obviously for other estates, we'd have a family fun day and make sure the neighbours get out and get to know each other. Whereas estates don't do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, and that's seems to be the case, all right. Thanks for your call, Wayne. If you're somebody who doesn't know your neighbours at all, I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. A message on this. I know quite a lot of my neighbours. I bought my house 5 years ago. I'm originally from the UK and take an interest in those living nearby. I like knowing numerous neighbours. They can help out in an emergency. Our children can play together, and I think it's nice to chat to the old people living around who may live alone and not get a chance to talk to another person that day. You need to extend an olive branch to get the same kindness in return, which I actually completely agree with. We had great neighbours for years where we live, and they moved about 2 years ago, and we were really sad to see them go. But when our new neighbours moved in, we popped in, gave them a bottle of wine, welcomed them, and now John's one of my mates, and I go for pints with him. So it does actually pay off. I think it's important to make it your business to say hello to your neighbours and exchange pleasantries and get to know them. And like I said, my next door neighbour's from Liverpool, and we went to see Liverpool getting thrashed the other night in our local pub. Darren, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Darren?
Hi, Adrian. Morning. How's things?
Now, Darren, you know your neighbours very well, do you?
Oh, yeah. The chap that lives next door to me there is very good now. If the alarm or anything goes off the house, he'll give me a quick call just to let me know, like, you know. The neighbour across are all very good friends. Pop out and have a cup of tea or have an old chat, like, you know. I'm going to do jobs for her in the house and that, you know.
And I wonder, you just heard that last caller saying his mate in Ashburn knows none of his neighbours. I wonder, is it that people just don't make an effort anymore?
Yeah, I think that's the way it's gone now. People just walk in and out. They'll probably say hello to you and that'll be it, like, you know. But nobody talks now the way they used to back in the old days, you know.
And just not making an effort to pop in, give them a bottle of wine and say welcome to the area kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at some of the messages coming in. A lot of people know their neighbours, but I never knew my neighbours in my old house, but since I moved up to Tala, I know all my neighbours. Now, I don't know where the old house is. And yeah, so there you go. Lots of you don't know your neighbours. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and we're here until midday today. Tonight is Toy Show night, as you know. The Late Late Toy Show takes the airwaves tonight. And I'd love to know whether you watch it, what do you think of it, and do you have any favourite memories of watching the Toy Show? What will you be doing tonight? For example, one of my colleagues was telling me earlier on that herself and her daddy will be sitting down, they'll be getting a takeaway and watching the Late Late Toy Show tonight. It's their thing. It always has been their thing, and they just love to watch it. Are you somebody who likes watching it, or do you hate it? For example, I was talking to our Katie earlier on, who said she absolutely hates the Late Late Toy Show. Is she even Irish? Now, her reason for not liking it is, to her, it was always like Billy Barry kids on the Late Late Show, or Little Rich kids on the Late Late Show, and she used to hate that and stopped watching it. Now, in recent years, it's become... I think they're doing a much better job. They're going all around the country and auditioning kids to take part in the Late Late Toy Show, which is a great idea. And as I said, one of the most watched television shows of the year, in fact, if not the most watched television show of the year, is on tonight. I was interested to see that one Dublin pub is celebrating the event in style. The Fourth Corner on Patrick Street is screening the programme and hosting a Late Late Toy Show drinking game. Now, I'm not going to go through what the drinking game entails. Suffice to say that there's a list of different things that they're doing, and they anytime one of these things happens on the Late Late Toy Show, the people in the bar get free drinks and stuff like that. So if you're around the Fourth Corner on Patrick Street, pop in for the Late Late Toy Show. But anyway, I want to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Will you be watching the Toy Show? And do you like it? Do you hate it? Have you favourite memories of it? Let's talk about the Toy Show. We're back in just a moment. Don't go away.
98 98 FM's Dublin Talks. With Des Kelly Interiors. New wood flooring fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
Now, one of our listeners, Dennis, who lives in Santander in Spain, has been on to us, and he said, Adrian, can you ask how we can watch the toy show from abroad? RTE Player is awful for streaming. Now, I think that's the only way you can watch it. And for shows like, I know RTE, when you're away, is very strict in terms of what you can actually stream and not. But for the likes of the Late Late Toy Show, I think they allow open streaming anywhere, to the best of my knowledge. And other than that, I don't know how else you can stream it. Except maybe get somebody to record it for you or whatever. But yeah, the RTE Player, I think, is the only way. Dave, I was fascinated by your message saying, lads, I can't wait for the toy show tonight because it's been a lifelong tradition.
Mm-hmm. As long as I'm alive, we've never missed a toy show once my whole entire life.
Really?
Honest to God, not once, never. Always seen the toy show every single year it's been on. For as long as I can remember.
For as long as you can remember, wow.
Yeah.
So, do you have kids yourself?
I do. I have, I've young, he'd be 9, actually he'd be 9 just before Christmas there. So it's a family tradition that's gone from my family, you know, from when I was growing up to when he was growing up. And we all get really excited this time of the year.
Okay, so...
Like,
so tonight is a very special occasion then, sitting down.
It is, yeah. Like, normally I'd rather jam a feckin', like, nail into my eye than watch Tuberty, but... I'll make that one exception for the toy show every year.
Now, I have to give him credit. I think he's very good on the toy show.
He can be. Now, in fairness, I will give him... He did one a couple of years ago that I thought was the best toy show I'd ever seen. But sometimes, last year in particular, he rushes through the stuff. He can be, a bit abrasive with the kids sometimes. And it just... Somebody's a bit of a gobshite anyway, like, do you know? I mean, kind of bring back Gabe Horner, give it to someone else, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be coming back anytime soon. But,
no. I think Graham Norton actually would be perfect host for the toy show.
Graham Norton?
Yeah, I think he'd be the dog's bollocks.
Yeah, he probably would, actually. But no, the one thing I like about Tuberty is that he's got kids himself and he can relate to kids. I think he's quite good, but other people completely disagree. So knowing that the toy show is on tonight has you in great form today?
Oh, man, I'm not joking. I'm a miserable shit in the mornings because I'm just not a morning person. But woke up this morning myself, little fella, happy out. We have our tree up. I'm getting off work early today to go home, make sure the rest of the lights are on, get the shopping done, get some munchies, get a few beers in for myself and the missus. So yeah, I can't wait for it. I love this day every year. All
right, well, enjoy it tonight, Dave.
Oh, I will.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Back to our friend in Spain about watching RTE programmes when you are away. To watch the RTE Player abroad, download a free VPN. Google will be your friend on how to do it. And that is, so basically what you're doing is your computer is fooling RTE servers to believe that you're actually in Ireland. Because for copyright reasons, they're not allowed to stream, except their own unique material. They're not allowed to stream abroad. But you can get around that by downloading a VPN, I'm being told, if you want to watch it. I hate the toy show, and I hate Ryan Tuberty, says Sandra. I'm sorry about that, Sandra. And to be fair, he's being told in his ear to hurry up and move on. What's that about? Is that to do with me having to move on? Oh, it's to do with Tuberty. Sorry, yeah. I didn't think so. Tuberty is being told in his ear to hurry up and move on, and that's what happens. And in fact, I'm now being told to hurry up and move on in my ear. Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday, and that means it's time for Good News Friday. Now, I have a lovely gift to give away for somebody who happens to be a caller on this week's Good News Friday. And it is, if I could find it here, we have a paddy box to give away. A Christmas paddy box, no less. And this is a box that will be sent to one of your loved ones living abroad, free of charge, and it includes like Tato crisps and selection boxes, Cadbury selection boxes, and roses and crunchies and strawberry jelly and lots of other stuff, okay? It's all in there, and it'll be sent abroad to wherever your loved one lives. And all I want you to do is share with us your good news stories this Friday. Call us right now on 6797981. And Good News Friday is your opportunity to share with us something good that has happened in your world today or yesterday or this week. And it can be the simplest little thing, but for you, it's good news. And we call it Good News Friday. Now, our Jeremy is on a day off today, a well-deserved day off, because he works very hard. He works very hard, yep. And but that doesn't stop little Dixon from giving us his weekly Good News Friday story. So, live from, I don't know where he is actually, Luke, over to you.
Good morning, 98 FM listener. Coming to you live from Conley Station. Today, I'm getting an intercity train. All the way.
Opening it, what's he doing?
He's doing a dance. They're called Raw Rascals.
Raw Rascals?
Yes.
And they're opening the show tonight?
They're opening the show tonight, yeah, absolutely. And it's brilliant. And all the family, everyone was going to get together and have a few drinks and whatever and sit down and be proud and watch them and the whole lot.
Ah, that is fantastic. What's your nephew's name?
My name is Bobby.
Is Bobby. And how old's Bobby?
Bobby is 7.
He's 7?
And he's brilliant. He's actually, the group of them are fantastic, I have to say.
Okay,
the group of them are brilliant.
So they're called the Raw Rascals.
Rascals.
And they're going to be featured in the opening act of the Late Late Toy Show tonight.
The Late Late Show tonight, buddy, absolutely.
Isn't that fantastic?
It's brilliant. We're all just so proud and chuffed and delighted for them, you know.
And many of them are in the Raw Rascals?
I think there's 6.
There's 6 of them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something that'll
and absolutely, Adrian, they're fantastic. They're brilliant.
And I assume you're recording it and everything else, so...
Everything, you're recording for everybody abroad as well. Everybody, all the relations over in England and all, and everybody.
Very good.
Send them over a photograph.
That's fantastic. Well, wish them the very best. Bobby and the Raw Rascals opening up the Late Late Toy Show tonight, and that is your good news. That's brilliant good news, JD. Thanks very much.
Absolutely excellent. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
6797-981 is our phone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. And if you happen to be a caller on air, you could win yourself that lovely gift, that paddy box to send away to one of your loved ones who may be abroad. Roisin, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Roisin.
Hi, how are you?
Happy Friday, Roisin.
Happy Friday to you too.
Now, Roisin, what is your good news this Friday?
My good news is that I finally passed my driving test after my 4th attempt.
Oh, when did you... 4 attempts?
4 attempts.
Now, the only other person I know who did it that much is our Katie. She's still trying. Well, no, she has passed her test, but I don't know how she passed her test.
I have a 12-year-old, and I was starting to think that he'd have a full licence before I would.
Before you would. So how long have you been trying?
I've been trying for over a year since I started taking lessons. And
so you've done 4 tests within a year?
Yeah.
Oh, you're very lucky, because normally people end up waiting an awful lot longer than that.
You have to get on the cancellation list and all. There's loads of stuff to it, but I'm hoping I'm going to save a bit on the monthly insurance.
Yeah, it should make a difference. I don't know how big a difference it makes, but it should make a difference, all right.
Oh, yeah.
So you're delighted now?
I'm so thrilled.
So the L plates have come down and the N plates...
And the N plate is up.
That's very good. So 2 years with the L N plates and then you're sorted.
That's it, yeah.
Well, congratulations, Roisin. That's great news this Friday.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. She passed her driving test after the 4th attempt. What is your good news? Call us right now on 6797981. Grania, what's your good news?
My good news today is that my daughter-in-law has a big assignment on her computer, and of course it was 2 times. It took 2 weeks for her to do. She went in to finish her off and she couldn't find it. So needless to say, there was torture. She was tears and everything. So eventually we got someone to help us and we got her back. Thank God. Happy days.
Right, so she initially lost her 2,000-word assignment.
Yeah.
But you managed to get some computer wizard.
Yes.
Who managed to retrieve it again.
Retrieve it for us. She saved in something that she doesn't even know what she saved it in.
Oh, right. That's fantastic. So the good news is...
She has it back, and she has put it into the lecture, and happy days, we found it, because it was just major tears.
That's fantastic. That is good news.
Thank you.
Where is she? She's in college, is she?
She's in college. She's in UCD.
She's in UCD, okay. So she didn't want to have to start it all over again.
No. It took her so long to get it done.
And try and remember what she had written and all that. Yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
There was too much involvement in it to, try to do it again. So to get it back was we just wanted to hug the person.
That's fantastic news. Well done. Thanks, Grania.
Thank you. Bye.
What is your good news? Call us now, 6797 981. Mandy, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Kind of okay.
Kind of okay, right.
I've been off work the last few days with laryngitis.
Oh, it sounds like it's at the end of it nearly.
It is. Oh, it is. Thank God I'll be back to work on Monday. But the good news is my son, who's working in America for Jemison, has given me a call to say that he's coming home for 3 weeks for Christmas, and he's bringing his girlfriend, who we haven't met yet. However, I was dreading she'd be from America and he'd settled over there and never come home. But she's English and she's flying in from New Zealand before he gets here, so we get to suss her out before myself and my twin 20-year-old daughters get to suss her out before he's even here. So that's our good news for the day.
So you're going to get to meet her before your son even arrives home?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
He's met her loads of times.
Well, obviously, if it's his girlfriend.
But we get to suss her out the day before he gets back to Ireland.
Oh, I'd say he's scarlet for himself.
Myself and the twins are ready for it.
So you're going to give her the full once over before he gets home?
Absolutely. You're never too old to be mama's boy.
No, well, that's very true. And come here, one more question.
She's right.
Did you know he was coming home? You only found out he was coming home for 3 weeks?
No, I knew he was coming home. Wasn't sure for how long, because his job flies him home every Christmas for a couple of weeks. But Maddie is coming with them. So, be a bit exciting in this house.
That's fantastic news. All right. The very best of luck, Mandy. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks a million.
What is your good news? Marie, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Marie.
Hi, Aidan.
Now, Marie.
Yes, sorry.
Adrian,
I apologise.
That's quite all right. No apology needed. I get used to being called the wrong name.
It's old age. It's old age with me. I'm meeting I've met them once before, my biological cousins, who we got to know through DNA. And they're bringing their 2 daughters tonight to my daughter's house.
Right.
We've never met them before. And it appears I'm the only cousin they have on their it must be on their father's side, because I have details of my mother, but her name doesn't come up at all.
So sorry, I'm assuming you were adopted, yeah?
I am indeed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this the closest you've been able to find to relatives?
Yes. And I'm the only one that they've found, because it appears I must be their father's brother's child, because their father was adopted and they've no background on him. But we come up as first cousins, as biological first cousins.
Right.
They're the only ones that came that close. There was seconds, there were third, fourth, goes way back, but they were the closest. So it's interesting.
It is. So are you nervous about meeting them? So these are actual biological...
No, I've met them once.
Oh, you've met... right.
I've met them once, and they are absolutely hilarious. But they're bringing their 2 daughters as well. We've never met them.
That's fantastic.
So it is, because I've no sort of, as you know, being adopted, no background. I only have what's in front of me, which are 6 children and 15 grandchildren. So I'm not doing too bad.
That's great news, and I hope everything goes really well for you. Thanks very much indeed for your call, Marie. Now, let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, bumpity, 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 bum. And the winner is, this is off the Paddy Box, the winner is Mandy. Well done, Mandy. You've won yourself that Paddy Box. Congratulations. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and on the way after that break, we want to talk about the A&E crisis. And 100,000 people have waited in A&E in the last year, waiting for a bed or whatever. Are you one of those people? I want to hear your stories in a couple of minutes. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Georgie is here with Friday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. First, it was Club 92. Now another iconic Dublin club has announced it's closing down. Lily's Bordello has announced the curtain will fall on the venue on January 19th. The club has been open since the early 90s and in its heyday was a hotspot for celebrities such as Bono, Colin Farrell and the Cranberries. Shots were fired at a car in Ballymun last night. It happened on Belclare Terrace at around 9 p.m. No one was injured in the incident and a Garda investigation is now underway. Over 1.2 million people on social welfare will get the Christmas bonus from next week. The Department of Social Protection's confirmed people including carers, pensioners and those on job seekers allowance will receive the payment, and the final touches are being put in place for this year's Late Late Toy Show. More than 1 million people are expected to watch Ryan Tubridy and co tonight. Now you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's Friday morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. By the way, I have another one of those paddy boxes to give away a little bit later on in the show on our Say What You See quiz. So if you didn't manage to win one just now, there's another opportunity later on our quiz. Now on to much more serious matters. 2018 has been the worst year on record for overcrowding in our hospitals, as 100,000 people have been forced to wait on trolleys. This is that figure, 100,000 people. And there's still a month of the year left. It's staggering, it's embarrassing, it's unacceptable, and it's only getting worse. Yesterday, there were 451 patients on trolleys and chairs across Ireland's hospitals, bringing the total for 2018 so far to 100,385. Tala University Hospital is the worst one affected in Dublin, with 5,085 patients having had to wait hours and hours and hours to be seen. I want to throw open our phone lines right now and hear your hospital horror stories, and the good ones, if you have good ones. It's not all bad. And I know people who've gone through the A&E and have been treated amazingly well and very quickly, and have nothing but good things to say about the overworked and underpaid A&E staff. So, good or bad, I'd like to hear your stories on 6797981. I'm joined on the line by Tony Fitzpatrick, who is the head of industrial relations at the Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation, the INMO. Tony, let's focus on Dublin if we can.
Yeah.
It's as bad, if not worse, in Dublin than anywhere in the country?
Oh, absolutely. And like you mentioned, Tala and the matter, over 5,000 people have spent times on a trolley or indeed a chair waiting for a hospital bed. The level of overcrowding that exists now is unprecedented. And we can go back to the noughties where Mary Harney said it was a national emergency. We can go back to James Riley in 2012 that said this will never happen again. We'd never hit the 500 figure. And the reality is that we've gone above and we've broken all records this year. We've record numbers in August, September, October and November on hospital trolleys waiting for a bed. And unfortunately, this minister has the distinction of the first minister that has gone over 100,000 people on trolleys waiting for a bed.
Now, a lot of people try to get their heads around how this becomes a bigger problem every year. Is it that staffing is less, or people are more sick, or there are more people?
Well, it's a combination of all of those, and you've really hit the nail on the head. The reality is the number of people presenting to emergency departments is increasing year on year. The profile of those patients is also changing. We know all the data that states the demographic changes. The population is getting older. The patients over 65 and over 75 presenting to emergency departments is also increasing. So that means the demand for the service is increasing continuously. Then we look at the staffing profile. If you go back to 2007, there are 1,600 less nurses working in the Irish healthcare system than there were in 2007. And since 2007, over that 12-year period, the number of people seeking services has increased. The population has got older, and therefore demand has gone up. So when you combine those two factors, you can see that the level of demand can't be met by the present level of capacity within the health service and the present level of staffing. A key problem, and the HSE have done numerous reports. They did a bed capacity report in 2006, and guess what? In 2017, they did another bed capacity report. Both of those reports highlighted there was a need for additional bed capacity, acute and step-down residential beds within the Irish healthcare system. And they're saying, we've also the Sláinte Care report, which shows that we have to shift to primary care, we have to build up primary care services, that's more public health nurses, more GPs, more urgent care centres, etc., and chronic disease management in the community. However, what continues to happen is we get these reports, they sit on a shelf, they gather dust, and nothing happens. And that's why the situation's getting worse. The latest bed capacity report says that if you implemented all that's in Sláinte Care, you would need 2,600 additional acute beds. You would need about 13,000 additional residential care beds. And unless they start putting them into the system, we won't be able to deal with the problem, because this is the main difficulty. People can't get out of the emergency department. So if you go back 10 or 20 years, you went to ED, they diagnosed you that we'll just take an example, you've just had a heart attack, you need to go to our CCU, you would then be stabilised within the emergency department, and within an hour or 2 hours, you'd be moved up to CCU, you'd be in a bed, and you'd receive the appropriate inpatient care, and then you'd be discharged out of the hospital. Now what happens is you can't get access to a bed, so that patient has to stay for hours and often days on a hospital trolley in a busy emergency department where the lights never go off. So it's not an environment that's conducive to quality care. And then the other problem is that people can't get out of hospital. We have now over 600 people that are in acute hospital beds that can't actually get out into step-down beds or back into the community. And all of these problems are created by the health service itself and indeed by the government by not funding it appropriately, because people can't get out of hospitals because there are not enough home care packages, there's not enough community nurses to facilitate people getting home, people can't get out of hospital, then 600 remain in beds in hospitals, and then at the same time you have 500 or 600 people trying to get in from the emergency department who can't get in because these beds are blocked up as well. And it's no fault of the patient.
No, of course.
It's the fault of the system.
And in fact, I've had personal experience of this with a family member over the last couple of weeks, and can see how it is a difficulty where this particular patient didn't really need to be in the hospital setting, and but stayed there until the bed became available elsewhere. Let me ask you, Tony, and finally, we're winter is officially starting tomorrow, or if it hasn't started already. And what are we looking at realistically between now and the end of February? Is this going to be an absolutely chronic crisis?
Yes, I think it is. We have been waiting for the winter plan. This is an all-year problem. And the main difficulty is that we don't have enough beds and we don't have enough staff. And even where the problem with staffing at the minute is particularly for nurses, because they're so poorly paid, we can't attract and retain nurses within the system. And beds are actually closed currently because we don't have enough staff to keep them open. But you're right, we are heading into a terrible winter. The NHS launched its winter plan in September September of this year. So they invested in additional bed capacity, additional staff, etc. We still haven't seen the winter plan from the government. We've been expecting it for months, and we expect it in the coming days. But the problem with that is they launched their winter plan. Is there time to engage with the staff to put the plan in place? And I don't believe there is, because they've left it so late. So I can't see, for example, if they say there's a green light, open up 20 beds, how are you going to open the beds unless you have the staff to actually look after the patients in the beds? So I think planning has been very regressive. I think the actions of the Department of Health and the HSE have been extremely sluggish and poor. And I don't see any turnaround at this late stage in the year. We've had the worst year on record. I think we're heading into the worst December and January on record. And we have to remember this. It's patients that suffer at the end of the day. It's someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s who has to spend time on a hard trolley waiting for a hospital bed on a corridor adjoining an emergency department. And we've become nearly immune to the fact there's a trolley crisis. This crisis affects patients every single day, and it's an absolute disgrace that it continues. But it affects staff as well. Their health and safety and well-being has also been affected. And they try very hard to look after the patients in their care. But it's extremely difficult when you have 100 or 200 patients presenting on a daily basis to an emergency department. A percentage of those patients need a hospital bed, and they can't get out. So what we have now in Dublin hospitals is ED nurses looking after a full emergency department with the doors wide open, and the influx of people coming in continues. And at the same time, they're looking after one or the equivalent of 1 or 2 hospital wards within the walls of their emergency department. Like, it's not safe for the staff. It's definitely not safe for the patients. And I think the government needs to take responsibility now and act together cohesively with finance and health to solve this problem. And it's not about optics. I'm sick of ministers coming out and doing things for optics. We need a real plan that delivers additional bed capacity, that ensures we can recruit and retain nurses and other health professionals within the system, and they have to address the issue of nurses and midwives' pay as well.
All right, Tony Fitzpatrick, it sounds like it's going to be a fairly dismal winter, but thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM. And I would love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. We want to hear your stories, good or bad, of your time in A&E. Call me right now on 6797 981. No sooner did we mention this earlier on in the programme than one of our listeners, Gary, got in contact with us on a bit of a rant. He sent us a big long message ranting about what happened to him yesterday at the Mater Hospital's A&E. So we rang him. Gary, take me to the start of your story. What sort of an injury have you got? What sort of injury did you sustain?
Basically, a few years ago, back in 2000, I broke my back. I had a fusion of the L1 burst vertebrae. Now, I go to personal training the whole time. I don't generally have an issue. Every so often it flares up, and you just kind of have to say to yourself, right, enough's enough. You give yourself the break. But what basically happened then was I was just doing a bit of personal training on Monday. Didn't think anything bad of it. No issue really at all. And then on Tuesday I was dropping my car to work. And again, I just felt that there was something wrong. And then on Wednesday, couldn't get out of bed.
Okay, and this is as a result of your previous injury?
Previous injury, I would have said, yeah. Because you're guaranteed pain for life, but you just get on with it. Like, this happened in 2000, and I run my own company and all, and you just have to get on with it,
Okay, so on Wednesday the pain was so bad you decided to go to A&E. What hospital?
No,
did you?
I went to a doctor first, and the doctor gave me an injection and gave me Dicyn and Valium, and sent me home and said, look, it's you'll be all right, blah blah blah. Then on Wednesday, I couldn't get out of bed again. I was literally in agony, and my partner took the day off work, and we went to the hospital there yesterday, and basically, yeah.
Okay, so what hospital did you go to?
Mater Hospital.
The Mater Hospital, okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday in the Mater Hospital in chronic pain, what happened to you?
They asked me to see how bad it was, and on a scale of 1 to 10, every time I get a dart in my back, it's like someone sticking a knife in your back. And every time I got that pain, I said it was on a 7 or 8 pain tolerance. That's where it was, that bad. And I said, how are you feeling at the moment? I said about 6, I'd say. I'm being fair because, there's other people sick in the hospital. And he said, right, grand, and he gave me two Tylex and 2 ibuprofen, and he told me to take them all, and I told him the situation with me back in the hall. He says, right, no problem. And that was it. So I just sat there doing a bit of work, and my partner came in to me. My mother stayed with me for 4 hours. My partner then came in about 6:30. She stayed with me. At 9:30 last night, I went into them to ask them again, look, where was it? And they said, oh, well, in your category, there's 3 ahead of you. I says, right. And then there's 3 in a worse state than you. I said, what's that mean then? Does that mean 5 or 6 people ahead? I said, yeah, you'd probably be looking at that. I says, right, this is a 10:30 last night. And I said, look, I'd rather just go home. I know there's some dice in there that the doctor had given me. I said, I'll go and I'm just going to go private tomorrow. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I walked in, Adrian, and I have to say, there was junkies there was everything like that there as well. It was just crazy. And then the people that were in there, you could see they were all very sick, and they're just run off their feet, the people were. And it's utter frustration when you hear about on the radio and all, and you hear about on the TV about how bad it is. You don't see it until you actually physically go into these hospitals and see how hard these people are working. And yet, there's nothing there, and we're paying heavy taxes. Or being, like you know yourself, Adrian, it's just complete another joke, it is,
So as I'm speaking to you now, Gary, you're actually on your way to a private hospital to get treatment.
I'm on the private hospital to get treatment. I've been told already that just to kind of go, I'm actually here now, I've been told that just to see someone, a consultant, it's €160. Then if I have to get an MRI scan, which they reckon I'm going to have to get, it's going to cost me €260. There's €500 is the maximum guarantee today. I rang another crowd and he told me 500, but that doesn't include your bloods, this, that and the other. So I said, how much would it be if, and they said 700 to 750.
Okay, and I'm assuming you don't have VHI cover or health insurance?
No, I own my own business. It's very hard to get anything really, to be honest, in this day and age, and especially with my back problem. It's a rheumatoid injury. I have IBS. I suffer from depression, mild depression as well. I have irritable bowel syndrome as well as everything else. But I get on with my life. I'm not alone. I just do. You get on, That's
okay, so out of sheer frustration yesterday evening, knowing that there were many other people ahead of you, after spending 8 hours in the A&E, you decided, I'm out of here. You left and are now at the Hermitage Clinic.
I'm now at the Hermitage Clinic. To be honest, Adrian, I would have thought in this day and age that if somebody's there, okay, 3 hours grand. If it's someone like how you get on a flight, and if your flight's delayed for 3 or 4 hours, they do something. Whereas here, it's just like, whoever's worst off, just keep on treating. There should be a rule that says that if someone is there for over 5 hours, that a doctor has to physically see them and assess them. Because if I had turned any way worse, I was doubled up in pain as it was. If I had, and I'm sitting on a hard chair. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a back injury yourself, Adrian, but I have titanium steel in my back. So I have nuts and bolts in my back. So sitting for that amount of time, and even standing and walking around, especially when you're in upper pain, and the back is swelling, it's very, very complicated. And then you get problems with your legs and everything else because you're in pain with your legs. It's just not right. Like some people say that you'd be lucky when you have a back injury. Oh, you're lucky you're walking. It doesn't always work that way. People don't understand the day-to-day business of dealing with pain.
But look, Gary, I know it's not the way it should be, that you shouldn't have to be lashing out 500 quid today to go to a private clinic because you couldn't get seen in A&E.
In fairness, Adrian, you're after paying your doctor, a GP, another 60 quid. So that's €560 now. Today will be.
But look, I hope everything goes well for you in the clinic today, and thanks very much indeed for talking to us.
No problem. Hopefully the government is going to start listening and looking after the people in this country, because it's just an absolute disgrace. And as I said in the message, don't get me started about the way teachers and everything else are treated in this country. It's an absolute disgrace. I wanted to be a teacher, and I'll never be a teacher now the way that they're being treated,
All right, Gary, thanks very much indeed.
No problem, Adrian. Take care. Bye-bye.
And that's Gary's rant. And it's a bit of a rant, all right. I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. Here's a message that's just come into us, and it says, Adrian, this topic boils my blood. Our health service is a joke. If nursing homes weren't so expensive, maybe then the elderly that are stuck in our hospitals because their families just can't afford it. Some nursing homes in Dublin are costing $6,000 a month, and with the Fair Deal scheme over $2,000 a month, it is shocking. How can anyone afford this, says that message. I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. No matter what age you are, I think every one of us has had an experience of A&E at one stage or another in our lives. We all have at one stage or another. Call me right now. Caroline, Dermot and Christy, I'll take your calls in just a moment.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new mattress in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
A&E is what we want to talk about for a while, and the shocking revelation this week that over 100,000 people this year have been forced to wait on trolleys. And as I said, no matter what age you are, every single one of us has had an experience in A&E in the last couple of years, I would think. Christy, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Christy?
How are you doing, Adrian? How's it going?
You actually have a good story, which we want to hear as well.
Well, whatever way you look at it. No, my daughter has special needs. She has Down syndrome, and she has a problem with her heart. Her heart rate can go up at any given time. I got a call about a couple of weeks ago from her, and she's in a special needs centre. Her heart rate went up over 122, so they rang me to take her to A&E. We have been there before, and we were told the next time we come back, just to be brought straight into the acute assessment unit. She'll be seen straight away because it can lead to a stroke or a heart attack with the heart rate going that high. We went in at 2 p.m. On the day. We weren't called into triage for about 3 hours after. Then about another 2.5 hours went by. We were brought in for bloods. They told us it would be an hour and a half for the results to come back in. I said, look, she's starving. She needs something to eat. Can I bring her something to eat? They said, yeah, you can go ahead, bring her something to eat. An hour and a half, come back, we'll have the bloods, we'll know what's going on. I said, okay, come back at about an hour and a half, which is 8:30 then that evening. Or, sorry, 7:30 that evening. 11 p.m. I went in. I said to the guy, look, we're here since 2 o'clock. I said, they told me to come back in an hour and a half. She has to be seen straight away. Well, her heart rate is 122. She told me you might need a heart attack or a stroke. What's the procedure? Can we go in and see somebody? He said, no, because you're beginning triage, you have to go into the other unit. So all the people outside are waiting to go into triage. You have to wait to be called back in. I said, okay. I said, can you tell me how far down I am in the queue? What was the story? He said, well, there's 3 people in front of you at the moment. He said, so it shouldn't be too long. I said, okay, right. I said, well, they did say they'd pass the info on to the acute assessment unit. She'd be seen straight away when I came in. I said, well, none has happened since. So we said, well, they're actually all gone home now. We said, so you have to wait and see a doctor. So I went back in about 12:30 that night, and 10.5 hours after we were sitting there, went in at 12:30. Same thing. I said to him, can you tell me what's the story? You told me like an hour and a half ago, 3 people in front of me. He said, well, there's actually 11 people in front of you now, he says, because a few ambulances came in. So I said, so, like, what do you think? He said, well, I think you could be here till 6 in the morning. He says, that's provided nobody else comes in. I said, well, like, can we not just see a doctor and just check the bloods and whatever? He said, well, look, I can check the bloods. I can tell you what the doctor can tell you, but I can't sign you off. He says, that's the problem. You have to get a doctor.
And that's why, and that is one of the problems that leads to people having to spend so long, that there's only so far the nursing staff can go in terms of being able to progress your case through the hospital. Where am I going next? Thanks for your call, Christy. Caroline, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Caroline.
How are you? Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Caroline. What did you want to say?
I've all praise for the A&E in the Met Hospital, the way they treat my mother. We went in at around 3 o'clock. She had MRI, she has CAT, she had everything done, all her tests done. They put us into a cubicle. Like, it was actually doors, it was actually a room. My mother is actually 88. They put her into a room. She was seen, she was treated like royalty. I can't praise them enough the way they were treating her.
Which is fantastic to hear, but sadly, we hear stories far too often of elderly people. In fact, we had somebody on this show a couple of weeks ago, his elderly mother in her 80s was on a trolley for 25 hours.
No, that wasn't the case. My mother, she was brought straight into a room, and they couldn't have done enough for her, honestly. My mother was 88 there last Saturday, and she's now in rehab now at the moment, but they couldn't have done every test. They actually got somebody in to do an MRI on her. We were in, say, around 2:30, 3 o'clock. We were finished all our tests by 9 o'clock of the day, 9 o'clock that evening. They gave her a cup of tea, a sandwich, everything. They couldn't have done enough for her. She was treated like, I don't know, royalty.
Man, that is fantastic to hear.
I praised them, and I kept praising them. I said, I can't believe it. I said, the way you treat my mother. I said to them a few times. I said, that's our job. He says, like, underpaid. You're overload. You know, you need more staff. They do need more staff, but they were so good to my mother.
That's good. And that's lovely to hear. What hospital was that, Caroline?
That was the Mater Hospital.
That was in the Mater. All right, very
and that
good.
was on the 10th of this month.
Unfortunately, the Mater is way up there in terms of waiting times, and I've been in A&E in the Mater a number of times in the last couple of years, not personally, thank God, and have seen the pressure that they're under. It's just immense.
I know they're under a lot of pressure, yeah. But
all right, but that's great to hear. Your man was treated like royalty. Dermot, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Dermot?
How are you getting on, Adrian?
Dermot, you believe that the problem in terms of overcrowding in A&E starts in the community. What do you mean by that?
100%. Basically, what's happening is it's not even a lack of GPs, it's the cost of a GP. You're talking about from, say, €60 up to visit a GP. And an awful lot of people can't afford that. And, they just fall outside the GP visit card means test. They just fall outside the medical card means test.
So rather than going to a GP and then being sent on to A&E, they just skip the GP and go straight to the A&E?
It's not that they won't go to the GP. They can't afford to go to a GP. And if they are lucky enough to be able to afford to go to a GP, like I know for a fact that from personal experience that I could ring a GP today to make an appointment with a GP. Like obviously you're sick, you want to go and see the doctor, and it could take a week from today
just to get an appointment. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So people aren't going to wait a week, and if you're sick, you want to be seen. So you're going to go to an A&E department. And that's exactly what's happening.
So how do we deal with that? How do we make that problem stop? Do we give everyone a medical card?
This universal health thing. We remember going back over 16 years ago when I was actually working in an A&E department in the Mater Hospital, believe it or not, coming out and telling people, where am I on the list? And you're categorised into three categories. And if you went in, say, with an ailment that you should have been at the GP with, but you couldn't afford to go to the GP even then, we'd be coming out and saying, well, you could be here till tomorrow morning, or you have 9 hours, you have 10 hours ahead of you. So what we need to really do is we go on about affordable healthcare. We shouldn't be paying for it. At the end of the day, nobody should have to pay for healthcare. We pay through the nose and taxes. The whole system is a joke. You have adults living at home with their parents who are being mean tested for medical cards. You have girls living at home with their parents who have children who are being mean tested on their parents' incomes for a medical card, but they can't afford to go to doctors.
I think everybody agrees with everything you're saying, Dermot. The problem we have in this country is that the health service, even as it is, even in its chronic state, is costing an extraordinary amount of money and running over budget every single year.
If we were in business, if the health service was being run as a business, now I'm not saying that it should be, but if it was being run as a business, it'd be gone, it'd be out of date. That'd be the end of it, done.
But it's not, unfortunately. Claire, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Claire.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Tell me your story about your mother.
She was 71 years of age when she fell ill at home, so she was brought into A&E department. Unfortunately, Mum suffered with for 20 years with a lot of different conditions: 5 heart attacks, multiple strokes, colostomy bag, cancer of the brain cells, and eventually became a double amputee due to lack of blood circulation to her toes. Went into A&E. We weren't too sure what was wrong with her. She had just kind of slumped down. She in total was 32 hours in a chair. She was 27 hours in her wheelchair. They hadn't even got a soft chair to give her until my father literally threatened to pick her up in his arms and carry her out of the hospital. They eventually sourced one of those soft high back chairs for her, and then she was another 5 hours in that chair before she actually got a trolley. So I mean, I don't know if anybody, if you know what it's like to have a colostomy bag and have to have it changed. It's extremely embarrassing when you're having to have it changed because it smells. They hadn't even got an area to change her in, so they had to bring her into one of the toilets, and then she was embarrassed because of the smell in the toilets, and people knew where the smell was coming from, and she was just a very private lady, and it was an absolute disgrace. Now I have to say, the nurses were run off their feet. They never stopped, they never took a break. You could see them sipping on a cup of tea while they were trying to write up and chase up x-rays and bloods. They didn't get a second. But this was in Beaumont Hospital. They were all sitting around the nurses' station. There was trolleys side by side. You couldn't get in at the people. The nurses couldn't get in to even take blood pressures or anything. They were trying to move trolleys, and the trolleys were blocking the doors for the doctors to get in. It was just absolutely crazy. And she was so sick, absolutely so sick. And the following year she ended up passing away. Nothing to do with being in A&E that time, but she got sick the following year and ended up passing away.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What age was she?
She was 73 when she passed away. She's just gone 5 years dead last month.
And, okay, so that was 5 years ago, and what I'm hearing is that things are worse now than they were 5 years ago.
Absolutely. They're 100% worse. I was in there last year. I suffer with, I've 4 protruding discs in my lower back. And again, I was 22 hours sitting in a chair waiting on some test results, and they told me that I'd have to come back in 2 months' time for an MRI. And I was in chronic pain, and they just said, well, we'll have to get the pain management team down to give you some medication. And sure, the medication that they give you, you'd be high off your head on the medication. I couldn't go home and look after 3 small children. And I literally cried for an MRI, and I was told by the doctor, who do you think you are coming in here demanding an MRI?
The really sad part of this conversation is we could devote the entire afternoon to taking calls about this. The amount of calls
probably the entire month, I would say, and we still wouldn't get anywhere. It's about time Leo Varadkar opened his eyes and realised what's going on with the hospital. He's a doctor himself. He should have the cop on to stand up and do something. There's too many elderly people sitting on those hard trolleys, and they're getting sores on their bottom, sores on their back, on top of whatever they've gone into A&E with. It's not good enough, and the poor staff are run off their feet. And unfortunately, tempers are soaring high because obviously their loved ones are sitting there on trolleys or sitting in chairs, and they tend to, blow off at the nurses and doctors, and they don't mean to, but it's just frustrating. Who do you blow off steam at?
It is. I can see how that. The problem is that the staff get the brunt of a lot of it, and it isn't their fault, and that's the reality of it. And my heart goes out to staff, and they do such great work, but they're just being pulled in every single direction. Let me just, like I said, I could take calls on this for the rest of the afternoon, but Katrina, let me just get your story, please. Oh, sorry, Katrina, I can't hear a word you're saying with that wind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it better now?
Yes, go on, yep.
So my 3-year-old fell and she hurt her finger. So my husband brought her to the hospital because it was blood everywhere. And she has been seen by a doctor after 6 hours of waiting. And they said, she might need a surgery. So they referred her to the different hospital with the appointment time for 7:30 in the morning. And still, she had the surgery, after 6 hours. She even didn't need the surgery, the doctors in the other hospital were wrong. But just what I didn't understand, she had a time for the appointment for 7:30 in the morning, and she still has been seen at 12. She was 3 years at the time, and she couldn't eat because they were thinking there might be something wrong, so she will need to go to the surgery. But Ireland has only 4.5 million people, and I don't understand how this is so bad here.
In fact, you just summarise a message that I'm after getting, a text message that I'm after getting this second, and it says, "Hi, I'm a German citizen and been living in Ireland for the past 10 years. The health system here seems to be more like a third world country than a member of the European Union. In my opinion, it boils down to paying too much money to management instead of investing into hospitals and patient care. The doctors and nurses are fantastic, though, a huge compliment to them. them working under these terrible conditions, says Inez. And another positive message. My husband injured his shoulder on Saturday. He was in a lot of pain, so I drove him to A&E on Monday morning. We arrived at 9:30, and having seen a doctor, a physiotherapist, an X-ray, an orthopaedic nurse, we left by 4 p.m. I was extremely impressed, which is great to hear. Although, had you brought him in on Saturday night, it might have been a completely different kettle of fish. The problem with the HSE is that extortionate salaries eat up the HSE budget, but everybody ignores this, and that goes back to the point, Dara, that was made a while ago with regard to management. And one last message. Sorry, it's on our WhatsApp. My partner's a doctor in the matter. The doctors in Ireland spend 70% of their time doing manual admin. Basic IT reforms would free up doctor capacity and solve for a lot of the staffing issues. And my mates in England can't get their head around paying €60 for a doctor's appointment and €100 for A&E. The NHS in England is a godsend and should be introduced here, says that message. All right. Like I said, I could take calls on it for the rest of the day. Just literally tipping on that. Anyway, thanks very much, Lee, for all of your calls. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. On the way after the break, it's time for our Say What You See quiz for this Friday. And I have another one of those Paddy Box Christmas boxes to give away. This is a gift box with like Tato crisps in it and Cadbury's roses and strawberry jelly and Barry's Gold Blend tea bags that can be sent to a loved one living abroad. That's the prize. If you want to take part in our Say What You See quiz, call us now on 6797 981.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. New wood flooring fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.
It's Friday's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and every Friday at around this time, we like to bring you our Say What You See quiz. If you'd like to take part, call us now on 6797 981, and you could win yourself a Paddy Box Christmas box to send to one of your friends or relatives who are living abroad, with all of loads of Irish goodies in there, like Tato and Cadbury's Crunchies and stuff that you can't get when you're in America or Australia or whatever. Darren Cleary is here with us for our Say What You See quiz, because Jeremy's on the day off. Thanks, Darren, for popping in.
I'm glad to be here. You know why I like being here for the quiz?
Why?
Because I feel great on a Friday when I help someone win something. So I'm here to help you win that Paddy Box.
Okay, well, let's get to our first contestant. And our first contestant is Kevin. You're on 98 FM. How are you, Kevin?
How's it going?
Good. Welcome to the programme. Who would you like to play with, Adrian or Darren?
Adrian.
Okay. Adrian it is. Now, you've a minute on the clock, Kevin, to get as many of these right as you possibly can, and your 1 minute starts now. Okay, this was a song by Chris Brown recently. Or no, is it by Chris Brown? Yeah, it was. And it's not about Thursday. It's not about Saturday.
Friday.
Yeah, but it's a weird Friday. It's a mad Friday. It's a...
crazy Friday.
No, it begins with the letter F.
F, Fun Friday?
No, not a fun Friday. Chris
Freaky
Brown.
Friday.
Freaky Friday is the right answer. Here's your next one. Oh, this is an expression for if you don't slap a child, he's going to be really bold. You spare something. Spare
your love.
No. It's an old expression that if you don't give a child an old slap, he's going to be spoiled rotten.
I don't know.
Oh dear.
This didn't go well for you, Kevin.
No.
Disaster, Kevin.
Sorry.
Thanks, good luck.
You should say sorry, you wasted a minute of our time.
Ross, do you know the answer to that?
What is it?
What is it?
What is it? The question?
It's an expression for if you don't slap a child, you're going to spoil them rotten. No, I don't know that one. No, don't know that one, okay.
I've never heard that as well now.
Have you not? Oh, okay. I bet you Kevin has. Have you, Kevin?
Hello.
How are you, Kevin?
I'm good.
Kevin, an expression that's used if you don't slap a child...
Bear the whip, spoil the child.
Say again?
Bear the whip, spoil the child.
It's close enough.
Yeah,
It's close enough.
bing.
Yeah, you give him a bing. It's spare the rod, spoil the child. But it's the same thing. Okay, Kevin, you've got one already. Who do you want to play with, Adrian or Darren?
Darren, please.
Darren it is. Okay. So you have a minute on the clock to try and beat a score of 1. Well, you've nearly done that already. And your 1 minute starts now.
Oh, this is an expression that means it's very windy and it's easy to dry your clothes.
Great drying out.
Yes.
That's exactly right. That is the right answer. Okay, here comes your next one.
This is something you'd say to a loved one. It's a romantic way of whispering. You were whispering something.
Sweet nothings is the correct answer.
Sweet
Here comes your
indeed.
next one.
This is the first line of the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Man, you knew that far too quick.
Very quickly. This is the name of the cat in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I need his full name.
Salem.
Yeah, what's his full name though?
The cat.
No, it wasn't Salem Spellman. It was Salem.
Salem.
That's very hard.
Look, I just do what the cards tell me. It's got it. You need a full name here.
Salem. Sabraham.
Yeah, give me a Saberhagen. This is an expression that means you can't just go around doing it minny-ninny.
Willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly. Jesus, Darren. Okay, here we go.
This is something Green Day sing about at the end, before October. They sing it at the end of August, actually.
Something September, is it?
Have to rush up.
And when September ends. Wake me up when September ends.
Yeah, he's done it.
Very good. Kevin, you got a score of 7. Kevin got 7.
Kevin's winning.
Well done, Kev. Thanks very much. He's in the lead with a score of 7. That's not going to be easily beaten now, it has to be said.
Get some bits out of your big box, Kevin.
He hasn't won yet. Relax there.
He'll win it.
Next we go to Gareth. You're on 98 FM, Gareth. How are you? Hello, Gareth.
How are you getting on?
Good, thanks, Gareth. Welcome to 98 FM. Who would you like to play with, Adrian or Darren?
Darren, please.
Darren it is.
Good call, Gareth.
You're trying to beat a score of 7, okay? You ready?
Have a go.
Okay, have a go. Minute on the clock and your minute starts now. Here we go.
Oh, this was a man. His Tonto was his horse, I think. He wasn't the ranger with loads of friends. He was the
Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger is the right answer. Here comes your next one.
This is an expression that means someone's feeling sorry for themselves. They're not playing the criminal. They're
playing the fiddle. No, feeling sorry for themselves.
Yeah. What do you call someone who a crime is committed on them? What are they? Starts with a V. There's the criminal, and then there's the
victim.
Yes.
Playing the victim.
Playing the victim is the right answer. Here comes your next one.
Playing the fiddle. This is an expression that means you're embarrassed for someone's mother for giving birth to you.
Scarlet for your ma.
Is the correct answer. Here's your next one.
Correct. This is an expression that means you have to be harsh. You have to really get the finger out. You have to something the something. Blank the blank.
It's something you do to a horse when you're racing him in the Grand National.
You have the whip.
Yeah, but what do you do with the whip? Yeah. You don't whack the whip. You don't smack the whip.
Crack the whip.
You
Crack the whip. I'll give you that, but it's still not enough, Gareth. You got 4. Thanks very much indeed. Declan is next. Declan, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Declan?
Hello, Adrian. How are you today?
Good, thank you, Declan. I'm fantastic. Declan, who would you like to play with, Adrian or Darren?
I'll go with you, Adrian.
And turn down the radio there, Dec, because you'll only get distracted, if you don't mind.
Declan, you're confusing me. I'm hearing myself on your radio and I'm hearing myself on my radio.
And nobody wants to hear you at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Who do you want to play with, Declan, Adrian or Darren?
I'll go with you, Adrian.
Okay, you have a minute on the clock. We're trying to beat a score of 7, which isn't easy now, okay?
Okay.
Declan can do it. Declan, do you have faith in yourself?
I do. Darren,
good.
how are you anyway?
I'm very well, thanks for asking.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Minute starts now. This is a box of chocolates that you get around Christmas time, but they're not roses. They are...
Quality Street.
Quality Street is the right answer. Yep, that's the right answer. Here's your next one. This was a song back in the day about what happened to the business that I work in. What business do I work in?
The radio business.
Yeah, and this was a song about something killing the radio business.
Video Kill the Radio Star?
Is the correct answer. Very good. Jesus, how am I going to get that out? Skip that one. Skip that one.
You have to use it. I can't skip cards.
I got the fright of my life. It put the something up me.
It'd be Jesus.
What comes out of your backside when you need to go to the bathroom?
What comes out of your backside?
Yeah.
Poo.
Yeah. So they. What happened?
It
they
didn't put the poo up me. No.
They put the. It rhymes with hit.
Piss.
Piss does not rhyme with hit.
Okay, enough, lads. Enough.
Who put that card in?
Who put that
Give me
card?
another one.
No.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
No.
Put the poo up me.
The answer to that was it put the up me.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Where are we going next? Carl, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Carl?
How you doing?
Carl, who would you like to play with, Adrian or Darren? Okay, now you know the score. You have to try and beat 7, which I think is the biggest score we've had for a long time. You've a minute on the clock, and your 1 minute starts now.
Oh, this is an expression that means make me a cup of tea. You're gonna what? What you have to do before you make a cup of tea? You have to fill the water and then
put the kettle on.
Yeah,
put the kettle on is the correct answer. Here's your next one.
This is a Dublin expression that means you're annoyed with something. You're not yellowed off with it. You're not pinked off with it. You're not red off with it. You're. No, it's a colour. Listen, you're not red off. You're not pink off. You're not green off. You're.
Oh, I don't know.
It's the same colour as poo.
You're browned off.
Yes.
Oh no.
This is an expression that means you were cursing. You were immin and immin.
You were humming and hawing.
No, you were. A, B, C, D, E. What comes after E in the alphabet?
F.
Yeah, and you were F. Effing and.
No, this is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster.
Effing and blinding.
Oh, give you the big
answer.
Carl, you're asleep today.
Carl, you got 3.
You go home and effing blind to yourself.
I'm effing fuming.
I am too, Carl, for you.
Right, thanks, Carl. He got 3, and we've time, I think, for probably just one more. Yeah, one more. And that's Wesley. How are you, Wesley?
Hi, how's it going? All right?
Wesley, welcome to 98 FM. You have a minute to beat a score of 7. Okay?
All right.
Who do you want to play with, Adrian or Darren?
Play yourself, please.
Okay, all right. 7 more try to beat. For that paddy box, you've a minute on the clock and your 1 minute starts now. This is a fella who makes fish fingers.
Captain Birdseye.
That's exactly who he is. I doubt he actually makes them himself, but anyway. This is a Dublin expression for I'm really, really thirsty. And it begins with the letter P. I'm
parched.
That'll do. Yeah, I'm parched is the right answer. Here's your next one. This is something that is big and ugly. It's a big, ugly...
Jeremy Dixon.
No. It's a big, ugly... No, it begins with the letter N. M for Mary. Monstrosity is the right answer. That's the correct answer. Well done. This is... what's that, Darren?
Oh, that is... We have one of them in the studio.
Oh, he sits up on top here. He's on the window. Elf on the shelf is the right answer. Very good. Come on, quick. This is an expression. You're screwed if you do it, and you're screwed if you don't do it.
You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
That's the right answer. Very good. This was a song back in the 80s about building a place like Dublin. We built
City on rock and roll. City on rock and roll.
Oh, that's the right answer.
Oh no. Come on, lads. I said it to you twice, the answer.
He did say it twice.
But you only got 6.
Yeah, you would have got around the second one if you had answered the first one.
I know. Life's a bitch. Wesley, I'm sorry, 6 was the score, and the winner this week, because you would have had to get 8 anyway to win, Wesley, so the winner this week is Kevin, who got a score of 7. So Kevin with 7 wins our quiz this week. Congratulations to you, Kevin, and thank you all of you for taking part in our quiz this week. So Kevin is the winner of the Paddy Box, and thanks very much indeed to Paddy Box for giving those prizes to give away on the show today. Darren, thanks very much indeed.
Cheers, Adrian.
We're back with you on Monday morning at 10 a.m. If there's something you want to get in touch with us about, something that happens over the weekend, send us an email to dublintalks@98fm.com. dublintalks@98fm.com. You can send us a private message through Facebook at facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Monday morning at 10. Carl Dawson is on the way, and in the next hour he's got some great music lined up, like these.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new bed in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie. 98 FM.